Yo, what's good, everybody? And thank you for tuning in to Tyler Perry's Divorce Sistas review. This is the review for season 1, episode 1, entitled The Pretty Lady. If this is your first time coming to my channel, welcome. If you are a returning family member, then you already know what it is and what it always will be. Be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe. Tell somebody to tell somebody if you choose to. But if not, just sit back, relax while we get into this messy, oh my God, messy thing. Now, first and foremost, let me just say, this first episode was a lot. Okay, it was a lot. A lot happened. I'm going to try to condense it, but I'm going to give each of the main characters their own individual video because I do not want this review to be super long. Okay, I didn't know this show was going to be an hour. I thought it was going to be 30 minutes. Psych my berries because I didn't know. It's an hour. But anywho, let's just get into this review and y'all just go with me, okay? Because it was a lot. So, the first two characters that we are introduced on Divorce Sistas is Tiffany and Geneva. Geneva is going to pick up her daughter Anika from school, and we find out immediately that Geneva has a pretty hectic schedule, and it's usually her husband or her nanny who picks her daughter up from school. Very rare that she gets the opportunity to do that. So I said, okay, I'm going to put that to my memory. So with Tiffany, we find out that Tiffany has been divorced for 3 years. She has a daughter in college. I want to say that Tiffany is in real estate, but I'm not 100% sure on that. Don't really know what her occupation is, but I'm leaning more towards real estate. Tiffany, off rip, baby girl ain't healed yet. Baby girl has not healed from this divorce from John. She's still in it after 3 years because basically Geneva was telling her, look, sis, it has been Tiffany was about to say 3 months. Geneva said, baby, it's been 3 years. 3 long, dry, ain't no action going on beyond the south of the border years. It's been that long, sis. You in a drought, okay? Ain't been no precipitation nowhere near you. That's basically what Geneva was saying. I added and I embellished, but y'all get the point. So basically just trying to find out their friendship dynamic. We find out immediately that the friends have been friends for 20 years. So that leads me to believe that these women met in college. Sounds familiar, but I ain't even gonna go there. But anyway, so we meet as well. We meet Rashida and Bridget. Rashida is the first lady, and she is married to Pastor Jeff. Off rip, you know that there is something on the horizon for this marriage. Rashida does not appear to be happy. And the interesting thing, how we were introduced to Rashida and Bridget, it was during a pastoral meeting. They're getting ready for this fundraiser. They're making sure the seats are where they need to be for the donors to give. Basically, they're saying it's a banquet, but y'all know church lingo. For those who don't, church banquet, church get together for an occasion like that. Baby, you're trying to raise funds, okay? You're trying to raise money, and that's exactly what they were attempting to do. Off rip, we see that Pastor Jeff is condescending. He's inappropriate. He talks to his wife in a way that he just should not. Everybody's on the same playing field, but he has such an arrogant air about himself, which I was able to, I've been around a whole lot of pastors. I know how they function, how most of them function, and how most of them operate. And Pastor Jeff definitely fits it for me. So Bridget, on the other hand, I already stated that has to be a weird friendship dynamic because she's one of Rashida's best friends, but she's also her assistant. And so for me, that dynamic in itself, I said, this gonna be some trouble, because there are times we don't know how to stop and then cut on the other function that we have within certain relationships, because there is a time where you need to be the assistant and put friend on the back burner. And it appears to me, because Bridget and Rashida are so close, even though she is her assistant, Rashida being her friend is first and top priority in their dynamic, even at the church. So I can see that's probably going to cause some issues later on down the line. So Rashida lets her husband know, I do not appreciate how you spoke to me, and I don't appreciate how you basically conducted the conversation in the meeting. Do not speak to me as such when we are around staff. I was not doing that. He was so quick to dismiss her feelings, so quick to dismiss the reality of what she was showing him. But like I said, a lot of times people who are in authority, they have issues with being accountable to the things that they do. And Jeff ain't no different. I peeped him a mile away, you little demon. But anywho, so we just gonna keep on keeping on. Bridget calls the girls basically to let them know, hey, Franklin might be popping up. Franklin is Naomi's ex-husband. Obviously, it was a horrible divorce, and he might show up. And if he show up to this fundraiser and Naomi is there, it's going to be hell at this church function, and we ain't trying to go that route. I'm so interested anyway, this whole friendship dynamic is so interesting to me. But going back to Geneva and Tiffany, they show up to the house. Well, before I get to that, in the beginning, because I was really trying to figure out the friendship dynamics. So Geneva brings up to Tiffany, you have to love our little friend, our friendship circle, right? Tiffany says, even Naomi. I said, what's the deal here? What has Naomi done to you? Where has the offense happened? Where is the art? Because something is going on. It wasn't in a joking tone. There was no type of humor in her voice. She meant what she said. Like, oh, even Naomi? That helpful too. I peeped it. So I am, I'm curious as to what may have happened or transpired between Tiffany and Naomi, or Naomi and someone else, and Tiffany may be holding on to things. Now, what I gathered from the character of Tiffany don't have a lot going on in her life right now. You got a grown daughter. She in college. She's away. You're divorced for 3 years. So it appears she's trying to keep herself busy. She also nominated herself to watch Anika, which is the daughter of William and Geneva, because they're going on a vacation for a week, and she volunteered herself to watch. It's almost as if Tiffany is trying to keep herself busy because she doesn't want to deal with the realities of whatever she may be facing at the moment. Also, Tiffany is that nosy friend, but I love the way has been written, because she's nosy, but she's not overly aggressive with it. And it's very rare that you meet somebody who is nosy as I don't know what, but they do it in such a way that it doesn't come off like that. So I'm peeping, Tiffany, you're nosy, because you ain't got nothing going on in your life right now, ma'am. You trying to get into every other body else's business and their bedroom. And I get to that a little bit later. So, Geneva. Geneva daughter is playing with baby dolls. Geneva daughter says, you so damn fine. Geneva says, baby, what? What did you just say? The baby girl repeated herself. And she says, no, baby, that's inappropriate. A 5-year-old should not be talking that way. She says, well, daddy says it. Tiffany says, oh, she's been watching y'all. Oh, no, Tiff. You got it wrong, sis. William has said that to the pretty lady at school. Now, Geneva is a lawyer. Baby, she starts lawyering her daughter immediately, asking her every question under the sun. Straight 50 Cent 21 questions should have been planned, because Geneva went straight into lawyer mode. Who is the pretty lady from school? Oh, she's your friend Maddie? Your friend Maddie, is that her mom? I don't know. What's their last name? I don't know. Baby girl knew nothing other than the lady was pretty, and she brought her friend Maddie to school. Geneva said, bump that. I got to get to the bottom of it. So we find out from Tiffany that Geneva is just as bad as Naomi. She just handles herself with a little bit more class. Now, when we are introduced to the character of Naomi, Naomi is parked outside of Geneva's house. The nanny is new, so the nanny did not let her in. Okay. What I gather from Naomi is probably that hood chick. You know what I'm saying? They got involved with somebody who probably was a drug dealer turned corporate dude. I'm definitely assuming, okay, because I don't know. But she definitely give hood girl vibes, okay? And she is distraught because basically her ex-husband Franklin basically saying that she is harassing him, and I believe him. Okay, Naomi is off the rocker. She is losing it. She's off her hinges, okay? I really believe that Naomi feels that Franklin did her so bad, she's trying to get multiple lickbacks. It doesn't even matter that she got half. She got the money, which Geneva told her, like, you got the money, let it go. And I understand what she means, but sometimes the emotional aspect of letting go in a relationship or, a marriage that has it wasn't able to stand the test of time. You understand physically you and that person are not together anymore, but there are times that the emotional aspect of that relationship, it is hard to truly separate yourself from that and heal from that. And it definitely is a process and a journey. It is not linear, and it is not always cute. It can get dirty, it can get ugly, it can get messy real fast. And Naomi gives all of that. Okay? She gives, I will get messy, I will get down and dirty and ugly if I need to. She gives those vibes. She tells Geneva that she's going to fire her. And she'll just get her another lawyer, and she, rides off into the sunset. We find out from Tiffany that Naomi has basically fired almost every lawyer in Atlanta, that baby girl needs a therapist and she needs to go to church. However, Naomi doesn't like Jeff, which is the pastor. So she ain't going to church. I said, they ain't the only church. Y'all in Atlanta. It's probably a church on every corner, hun. Pick another one. You don't even want to deal with Jeff because Jeff is not right. And we going to get into that as I go through this review. Geneva calls her daughter's school trying to get information on Maddie, her mom. The teacher picked up on game. I'm not giving you any information, which I'm glad the teacher did not, because that's not what we do. You're not giving out any information, personal information, last names, telephone numbers, address. Baby girl, we don't even see you like that, Geneva, and you're calling here to get information on another child because you trying to set up a play date? No, ma'am. So because Geneva did not get what she needed, what this heifer do? Oh, she rides up to the school. I said, oh, You touched too, huh? You touched by Angel too. So the custodian guy, the janitor, he lets her in. He makes small talk, and she's lawyering him at the moment. He doesn't even realize it because you have a beautiful woman that's giving you a little attention. I don't think he didn't look at her in a sexual way, but just the fact that someone is actually having an interest in what he has to say. And so she finds out what she needs to know. Maddie's mom owns a yoga facility. She receives their last name from the janitor. Also, we find out that they are well-to-do people, Maddie's parents. So, of course, Geneva's going to get to the bottom of it, because who are you that my husband is saying that you so damn fine? I need to get down, because I don't mind you giving a woman a compliment. You look nice. You look beautiful. But to be married to me and tell another woman she's so damn fine, that's where we draw the line at, sir. Okay? Period. Now, it was interesting that in this first episode, the only man that we met was Rashida's husband, which was Pastor Jeff. We ain't seen nobody else man on the show, which I was like, I guess. But okay, it didn't cause, it wasn't a pro or a con. It just didn't happen. Let's go on over to Naomi's house, okay? Naomi called somebody over to blow her back out. She paid him a nice amount of money. And we find out that Naomi is about that life in every possible way. She's about that life when it comes to sex. She's about that life when it comes to danger. Homegirl got her little pium, okay? I said, girl, what? First of all, this was such a dangerous and a horrible situation is waiting to happen. Baby girl, they got things for you to do for yourself if you are in that big of a rut that you need sexual relief. You don't have to call somebody who could possibly rob you and cause harm to you. The moment this man said, I could snap your neck, right? Stop. Pump the brakes. You can do what? Then she brings out the pistol, points it to his head. This man licks the gun. I said, oh no. Baby, you dealing with baby, what is happening? What is happening right now? It was so much going on this show, y'all. It was so much going on this show. I said, what in the world? Anyway, she pays him a good grip of money. I'm like, well, how much was he worth? Was it really worth all that? Maybe it was in Naomi's mind. I don't know. Maybe it was. It was just a lot going on. So we see there's a scene with Tiffany and Bridget. Bridget is there, and she's kind of just, telling Tiffany about her day. Tiffany reveals to Bridget what happened with Geneva finding out about William. She doesn't want to believe that William would do anything when it comes to cheating on Geneva. However, when it comes to John, Tiffany's ex-husband, Geneva is like, well, you said the same thing about him and look what happened. So I think that Tiffany strikes me as the type that always wants to believe initially the best in people, but sometimes you just have to call a spade and discern what's really there in front of you and not try to sugarcoat it, not try to, soften it up or pretty it up. It just is what it is. Tiffany also brings up the man that Bridget is dating. His name is Vaughn. And so, Tiffany gave some light shade. No, it wasn't light shade. She gave some heavy shade. Basically, Vaughn is living with you. And in today's world, as they say, y'all shacking up, you're sinning, you're living in sin and filth because you're shacking up with this man and y'all having sex. Bridget's response was, well, what's going on between me and Vaughn is a process. I said, baby girl, what process? He's no good. He doesn't have a job. He ain't doing. You sexing him. He's at your home all day while you at work. What is the process? Because I must have missed that one and glad I never had to go through it. What are you talking about? I said, okay, Bridget. So you making excuses for this grown behind man who laid up in your house while you at work every day. Got it. Clock your T, ma'am. Clocked it immediately. So we find out earlier that Rashida had to counsel someone. We get to the end of the show. This girl comes in. We find out that she's 19 years old and she is consumed with guilt. You can clearly see. And I'm like, what? What happened? Rashida was like, well, we're just going to pray about it. And she said, prayer is what got me into this situation. I said, well, baby, what prayer led you to this? Because I don't think my God put you in this situation. I think your flesh did, if I'm just going to be honest. But okay, go ahead, carry on with your story. She asked Rashida, does she believe if God will forgive her? And Rashida tells her yes. And she said, will you forgive me? Rashida is a little confused because she doesn't know this, woman. And, she asked, have you done something against me? And this young lady said, I did. Rashida's response was, do you mind telling me what that was? I was not prepared. If you didn't watch, you're not going to be prepared either. Again, this is a 19-year-old member of the church who was convicted from a message that Rashida taught. She tells Rashida that I have been having sex with your husband. That's how the episode ends. Rashida gives this look, and I can only imagine what is going through her mind.
Do you think God will forgive me? I do. Will you forgive me? Have you done something against me? Yeah. You mind telling me what it is? I've been having sex with your husband.
When I tell y'all I'm sad for this show, now don't get me wrong, there were some discrepancies. There were some things that happened in the episode. I'm really not trying to harp on that too much and just really kind of appreciate the actual story that's being told. And because I am somebody who was raised in church, left the church, was out wilding, doing my thing, came back to church, was still wilding, doing my thing. Then, at a certain age, at a certain point in my life, I got serious about my walk with God, and I became really engrossed in church culture and the behind the scenes and the things that go on. Church is one of the messiest places, however, but it is a place for redemption and reconciliation and forgiveness and compassion and grace, but also understanding that just as Rashida told her, just because you're a Christian and you go to church, you ain't nobody perfect. We all have hang-ups and things that we're dealing with, things that we battle with. However, I have to give Rashida props because I don't know what's going to happen on the next episode. This young lady kept saying, you just seem so perfect and you just seem like, you got it all together. You're perfect. That would have been the day that baby girl would have found out that perfection is not within me and God is still perfecting me, because there is no way in hell that one of us was going to leave out my office without a black eye and a broken jaw. I'm just saying, the Lord is still working on me. I'm not perfected yet. I'm still going through the process. Because do you know how bold someone has to be to sit in your office, to look at you in your face and tell you that I am sexing your husband? And what is the response Rashida is supposed to give? Because I believe whatever Rashida does, she is well within her right. Whether she tells that girl to get the hell out of her office, whether she puts hands on her, I do not condone violence. Let me just say, I don't condone violence, but sometimes that's all you got. So I I would not be mad at whatever course of action Rashida believes she needs to extend or carry out. I also understand that when you are in that position in ministry and you are caught off guard like that, you cannot allow your flesh to dictate your next move. This is where prayer and fasting come in at, because I don't care how strong of a believer and Jesus cheerleader you are. When you are met with hurt in that way, it takes such strength not to respond from a humanistic standpoint. And so I'm curious to see how Rashida is going to carry this out. The fact that her husband has been short with her, he appears to be annoyed with her by even her addressing how he makes her feel. So I'm here for the ride. This was only the first episode. I believe they're dropping the next episode June 12th, and I will be reviewing that as well. But I am going to give each woman their own video, because it was just so much going on, and I really just want to dissect the things that we have been given concerning these characters, what we know, what my predictions are, answering certain questions that have been sent to me after this first episode concerning the different women. So it seems to be people who really do love the show. Some people didn't like it. That's great as well. But I do really want to, just get a jump start on Divorce Sistas and things like that. What I will say, one of the things I did enjoy more about this show than I do the original Sistas is the actual overall tone of the show. Sistas, the original Sistas, it has more of like a kiddie. It's the music that they play on the different scenes. They did play certain music on Divorce Sistas. Some scenes I felt the music was entirely too loud and the music took away from the scene. However, I think overall, it was okay. I don't dislike it. I don't love it yet either, but I do not dislike it. I'm just here for the story and seeing how Tyler decides to take us on this journey. And y'all already know how that goes. So I ain't gonna hate. I'm just here. I'm buckled in. Okay. Because y'all know he gonna throw some loops up in there. But, that was what it was. But let me hear y'all thoughts. For those who have watched the first episode, what did you think? Who's your favorite character so far? If you have one, which story are you mostly interested in? Or the priority, like what's out of the 5 women, which stories, piqued your interest? Like I said, we didn't really get a lot when it came to the characters of Tiffany and Bridget, but I know we're going to get more as the story goes on. But baby, Naomi, Geneva, and Rashida, oh my God, it was a lot. Baby, y'all about broke me. Whew, I had to go pray after watching that. but I want to thank you guys for listening. Until next time, I will holler at y'all later, and y'all be safe out there.